Hi, welcome to Girls Who Gab with Habs and Muffy. This week we're talking about the holidays and particularly giving gifts. Are you a person who likes to give gifts? Do you like to receive them? Would you rather not have gifts be a part of the holidays? We're going to discuss and gab all about it on this week's episode of Girls Who Gab with Habs and Muffy. Happy holidays! Happy holidays, Habs. Oh, it is December and it is the season for giving gifts. It feels like particularly in America, Christmas season is just orientated around gift giving. And even for myself, when I think about it, when I was a kid, there were just so many gifts under the tree, all wrapped and like exciting and like kind of a lot for everybody, not just the kids, but also the adults and my grandparents. I mean, there were just so many gifts. I mean, if I were to find the picture from like when I was like 5 years old, the Christmas tree was big and just ornaments galore and everything on the tree. And then underneath it was just what seemed like gazillions of presents for everybody. So, back then I wasn't making the magic happen, but someone was making that magic happen, and it wasn't necessarily Santa. So I guess, I was sort of taught through that, gifts are given and lots of gifts. And like when you really become an adult, you should be giving more than one gift to people. It's about like a lot of buying, wrapping, and giving gifts. And, I also kind of expected that for myself, that I would get a lot of gifts. And also I was about giving gifts. I mean, I think when I was in college and in high school and early adulthood, maybe it was like one gift per person. But as I came fully an adult, it's like, oh, give 4 or 5 things per person. With whoever I was buying for. And like I remember going to the mall back in our DC days. I would go to Montgomery Mall like on a Saturday in the Christmas time and just buy all these gifts and wrapping paper and wrap all these gifts up. And I remember sometimes like I'd have too many gifts if I was flying home. If I was driving, then I would be fine. I remember one time bringing all these gifts over to my brother's apartment, my older brother, because he was living there. And he said, yeah, they were driving, so he would take my gifts and he put them in the car. And he was living in a little bit of a rougher neighborhood at that time. And he went getting some coffee, and his car was, because he had a ground floor apartment, he was looking at his car and there was like someone breaking in to get the gifts. And he like ran and said, Harry, that's my car, get away. Or there would have been no gifts for Christmas that year. But it's definitely like a big deal to give like gifts, like a lot of gifts. And like also my grandparents would give us cash in an envelope as an additional gift. And then there was also some fun cash money coming. So it was a big deal, like gift giving. And then like I'd have friends when I was in college, and as an adult, like you give gifts to your friends. And when I got married, it was also like you fill stockings for everybody. And it can really get sort of out of control fast. And I didn't have children, but just like the idea of like, I mean, I was always sort of expected to give a lot of gifts. Let's just say that. Like, so it was my parents and more than one gift. I tried to get away with just like giving them a subscription to the New York Times and saying that's your gift, because that's a pretty nice gift to get every day. And it was like, yes, and. So then I was like, okay, I'll get you an advent calendar. And yes, and. Okay, I'll get you. So like it just grew and grew and grew. And then also like I found myself giving money to my parents as well. Like my grandparents would give me, but I felt like there was an expectation that I actually give not only gifts, but like money. And then there was also the expectation that my brothers who had kids or married into families with children, like that those kids would also get gifts, and I was to remember all of them. And so I'd have to have the gifts and send them. And so a lot of times, because I traveled a lot, I would be buying all these gifts on my travels. And like, okay, I have this for this Christmas and for this person and that person. And my siblings and I did exchange for a while well into adulthood. And then at some point, it was just, I think I just called. I think I was tired of gift giving, actually. I don't know. But I just told my brothers, like, hey, can we just do gifts for the kids? Which meant, my husband and I were going to get nothing because we didn't have kids. But like, we would, give gifts to the kids. I think actually my older brother and his family still sent us something. Oh, yes, it was that their daughter would buy for us. So they would send us gifts out of kind of like being from their daughter. So they would still, and they would remember our cat and dog. My younger brother did not do that, but I was remembering his stepkids and his daughter and, not necessarily his partner or him. Although my mind was always on my younger brother. Wherever I went, I'd always get him a fun t-shirt or something, and I had to give that to him. So it was always just like gift giving, like was on my mind throughout the whole year, because of all the people I had to buy for. And of course, I always wanted to buy for my husband, who grew up with no Christmas tradition. I mean, he's Hindu and grew up in Southeast Asia. And yes, they would go over to their friend's house on Christmas Day who were Christian and have like a nice meal and have camaraderie among friends. But for him, that was what the Christmas spirit was. It wasn't about gifts or giving gifts or receiving gifts. So when we first got together, we're engaged, and I gave him a bunch of gifts, he was like, oh my gosh, don't do this. This is too much money, very much anti. And like, as we've grown together over decades of being together now, it is like, okay, you can give me gifts, and he likes it. And like, we've kind of taken on each other's traditions and made them our own. Or at least we did till a few years ago. But like, giving gifts, receiving gifts from each other became a part of our marriage. And like, so I always had to get him gifts. And then also people were coming to visit. Then like, you want to have little things like stocking stuffers for people, for my husband, for the dog and the cat. Always, they got bunches of gifts. And so I would be able to recreate my Christmas mornings that I had as a kid within my own little family with my two pets and my husband. And then if there was any family visiting, that would only have been my parents at any given time. They would also get a lot of stuff from me. And it was just like all the paper and the fun. And like, I got to recreate that and have that, but it's a lot of work and a lot of money. I used to work Habs at Restoration Hardware, and I loved that because they had great stocking stuffers and great things you could buy. And I think we got 40% or 45% discount. So a lot of times I wrapped up my holidays at Restoration Hardware with that deep discount. So I was always kind of trying to get, good deals on nice stuff, right? So I was always trying to like be mindful of like all these gifts, but like getting like good stuff for like, as good a price as I could. I used to exchange gifts with tons of friends, not necessarily you, Habs. I don't think you and I sent each other gifts, but so many people I used to exchange gifts with. Oh my gosh. I mean, that a lot of my travels were about buying all these people gifts wherever I was and then sending them off. And, I realized like, and I also used to do that with my siblings too. Like, I started realizing, I don't know, at some point over the years that no one wanted that stuff from abroad. Like, no one liked it. I think a lot of people just threw it away, actually. I don't know if it wasn't their style or they just didn't like things that were from foreign lands, or what I picked from the foreign land they didn't care for. But it just seemed like I got the sense that it was so like, oh, another thing from another country that you went to. And I remember my brother's stepkid, he was like, I used to try and take great pains because I was expected to give those children something to say. His mother would just have them throw everything away, And he quietly said to me, but I really like it, but I can't do anything about it. Once I realized like people did not really appreciate what I was getting them from overseas, there were a lot of friends I just said, hey, I don't want to do exchanges anymore of Christmas gifts. And that felt really good. Although some birthdays I would still be giving gifts. I have to say, I was really trained up to give gifts, like buy things for people and send it to them. Um, and so that would, of course, come to the fore at Christmas time, even though I did make boundaries with my siblings to say, let's not do it. And like my friends, just like, we don't need to exchange anymore. I mean, I remember like writing that in a letter to people, like, we don't need to do this exchange anymore. I don't know if it offended them or not, but I'm sure they were happy to just let it go as well. Um, and I noticed too, I mean, just to be perfectly honest, what my friends and people would give me, I would just donate. I just like was not for me. And even most recently, I had two girlfriends who I was doing big gift exchanges with up until recent days. And oh my gosh, most of the stuff I would give to other people or just not keep it. And I felt so bad, like they're getting me all this stuff and it's nothing that I want or I'm interested in. And these days, because of my age, our age, I'm about cleaning things out, not bringing more stuff in. So if anything's going to be staying here, it's stuff that I really want to have with me. If it's not, it's just not even going to come in. It'll be regifted if I think it makes a good gift for somebody, or it'll be, donated. So I'm just like, people need to be spending their hard-earned money and resources on these things, although the exchanges are fun and the whole gathering. But I just also got tired of that too. So I feel like I'm being like, bah humbug. These days, I am not in contact with my family at all. And so I have felt an incredible freedom to not gift anything. I mean, I have some little children in my life that I've been giving gifts to, and some closer extended relatives I've gifted to. But, in general, that's like a desire and choosing to gift. It's not a demand or you have to, which feels very different, like a very different dynamic. Although I probably still just do too much actually in giving, just because it's kind of problematic, because I was so groomed to gift, 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 and gift a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot. But I'm trying. I'm trying to be more mindful and thoughtful. And I think the holidays for me are one of the highest, moments for me to kind of be engaged in that struggle and say, like, do I really have is there a person that I really want to give a gift to, like a meaningful gift to? If I can honestly say yes, and it's just not a neurotic habit I'm acting out of, then I will do it. But often it's actually quite a neurotic habit for me to just gift, 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 gift. Case in point, I've given so many flowers that the flower company actually sent me this huge bouquet saying thank you on their 15th anniversary, which it was bowled me over, but also made me stop and think, like, maybe it's important, Muffy, to be mindful of what you're buying, who you're buying for, when you're doing this, how you're doing this. And I'm not sure the holiday season really allows much space for those types of questions. It's so like autopilot, which you had as a kid, like you do that. And plus you grow up and there's more and more expectations on you to make the Christmas happen. And I've definitely been a part of that. These days, largely with my husband, we hardly do anything. Maybe, or I buy things throughout the year for him, but I think he needs or wants, and I gift that way. And he may or may not do anything for me. And I don't really expect a lot of gifts coming in from any sort of friends or anything. So it is just like the antithesis of my family of origin holidays, where it's just this big tree with tons of gifts. And like, I just don't even allocate, even like cards. Like I used to do like 250 cards. I mean, now if someone sends me a card, I will send them a Christmas card. That's like my thing, because most people aren't sending cards. So, I mean, maybe that's like a tit for tat thing, but it's sort of like, I mean, do people really want to hear from me and hear all my updates and all the things? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I just kind of like, it's maybe they do, maybe they don't. But I guess why I don't do it these days so much is I'm not interested in putting energy toward it. which is unusual because I love to write letters, but just that's another part of the doing is all the holiday cards, all the holiday gifts. And like just trying on like not doing so much and the relief that brings me because I have a very not even hardly any list at all. There's just I'm not doing much of anything for anybody gift wise. So I don't really worry or stress out financially. And whatever I have chosen to do, I want to do. It's not an expectation. And this is a very different thing. I really feel much more peaceful around gifts and gift giving this time of year without having any of those expectations on me. Having just left that, laying it down and just doing what I want to do. Which, truth be told, and I wonder if other people feel this way out there, is not much.
I hear you, Muffy. I don't know that I feel like doing that much this year. I'm curious if our listeners agree, but I just don't feel like going out and getting a bazillion presents. Normally I would have started, especially since Thanksgiving is so late, but I've not gotten one gift. I have got the advent calendars. And so they're all ready. And you can hear my dog P being like, I want gifts. I want gifts. My dog P loves gifts. He loves anything in a box. I mean, I swear he knows like Amazon. When Amazon comes, he's just like, what's in the box? What is it? I need to sniff it. I need to smell it. And he just likes anything in a bag. I mean, even if it's like I bring home a bag of groceries, he's like, what's in there? I mean, granted, the groceries have food smells, but it doesn't really matter. It could be any bag with something. He just knows there's something in there, and maybe it's for him. So he loves gifts. So he fits right in with his family for the most part. A does not really like getting gifts, and he gives gifts, but he's a little bit more like you, Muffy. He gives them when, like, he sees a specific need. He doesn't feel compelled because it's like a holiday or like Valentine's Day or so. I mean, he'll get me flowers and stuff like that, but like it's not because of the holiday. It's because, somebody needs something or it's just time or he's thought about it. So I do like that about him because I think, we often get so caught up in like, we're getting gifts because of the day and the time. My mom was always like that. Like, we have to celebrate things on the day. We have to give gifts on the day. And I don't know. I don't know that that's true. I mean, giving gifts is like, it's like giving your heart, I feel. But again, there is a lot of pressure with the holiday season in December of giving gifts. And it can be very trying and tough. Jay and I were watching an episode of Friends yesterday, and it's one where it's around Christmas and, they're all giving gifts. And the big joke is like, don't, like Jennifer Aniston, her character, like, never liked any of the gifts. So if you didn't get what was on the list, or I don't know, it was just like, don't even bother. She usually just like gave them away or, put them quietly to the side. So like, Ross gave her like a gold necklace and David Schwimmer's character. And, everybody else was like, have you seen Rachel wear that necklace? He's like, oh yeah, she's worn it. And like, so then he asked her like, oh, where's that necklace? And she brings it out and it's silver. And he's like, well, I got you a gold one. She's like, yeah, but it looks so much better in silver. So she always exchanges things. So it's funny, right? Like, it's funny how people are with gifts. Yeah, I'm standing here outside and looking, I'm in my backyard and I'm looking at this tree that I've always thought, wow, that makes like the perfect Christmas tree. And this year they put lights on it. So, yeah, I can't believe we're in this season. Um, that Christmas is upon us for those who celebrate it. And starting to think about all those giving, all those gifts that I have to get. I mean, I do still have kids at home that, especially Jay, she likes to give gifts and she likes to get them. She's very creative when it comes to giving gifts, and she goes to great lengths to give her family gifts and her friends. She puts a lot of thought into it, and I love that about her. I applaud somebody who has that kind of spirit. I like that. Not everybody does. Um, T really doesn't get into the spirit of giving gifts. It's interesting. We were talking about you were talking about like when you were younger about how there are all these like gifts under the tree and, mostly for the kids. And I mean, we were the same way. I mean, I don't know, but my mom was pretty savvy at stretching that dollar because they didn't have a lot of money, but somehow we had a fair amount of gifts under the tree every year, year after year. And I mean, some were big, some were smaller, some were thoughtful, some weren't. But they were mostly for my brother and me. And I don't really remember really making an effort to get gifts for my mom or my dad, which is funny now that I think about it, because Jay really gets into that. And again, T really has not. But yeah, it was really about my mom just buying all the gifts for the family, but mostly just my brother and myself. I always got the most gifts. I don't know. I think she found it really easy to buy for me as a girl, and she found it harder for my brother. So there was always that kind of tension there. Like, gift giving can bring a little bit of tension and stress and worry and disappointment. Ugh, it's rife with so many emotions, which is funny because it's like the antithesis of gift giving, right? I mean, that's what I think. In some ways, as I'm talking here, I think, God, like, really, we had so many petty problems because there's so many people that don't even get one gift. Yeah, it just made me reflect on that for a moment. Because it makes me think, like, Christmas isn't about, at least for those that celebrate Christmas, it's not about how many presents under the tree. It's about, like, the art of giving, but it definitely gets lost. I mean, I think commercialism and all that jazz for sure uh, really, impacts it. And then, if you have Elf on the Shelf and Santa and all those other things, I don't know if there are many other things, but it really does impact like this, like, oh, the spirit of gift giving and the commercials and the gifts. And, for me, I mean, I really just like the simplest gifts. Watching my dog roll around in the grass, scratching his back and being happy. And that makes me smile. And like, that's a gift to me. I know I'm being all like, woo, but I don't know what that means exactly, but you know what I mean? Like, I like the simple gifts. I like, like a bag of coffee beans. I mean, when you and RK went to Brazil on your trip and you brought me back a bag of coffee beans, like, that was the best gift. And I really enjoyed it. I loved having them, using them for my cup of coffee every morning. So, it's funny when I was younger as a little girl, I don't know if I felt like I had to or what, but I would get the most simplest gift, like a pair of socks. And I'd be like, "Ooh, these are so pretty. And look at these socks. I love them." I would make the biggest deal out of the littlest thing. I mean, I don't know why I did that. I don't know why I felt compelled, but maybe I felt bad that my mom, like, I mean, she went to a lot of effort. I mean, she would have all the presents like grouped together in the basement. She would wrap them. My dad had nothing to do with it. Every once in a while, my dad would get a gift, but rarely. And then she had like a list and she numbered the list. And I mean, it was crazy. And I mean, but at the same time, she was very, I don't know, like a little crass because she would like throw a present at us and it would be like one after the other. And it was like, again, not really like taking the moment to appreciate something. And I don't know, and it was like before you knew it, like, I'd be opening a present, my mom was throwing a present at my brother or my dad, and they were opening it, and so nobody was really enjoying anything, and then she would get stuff for herself, and she'd open it up and be like, "Ooh." I swear I will not do that, I will not buy gifts for myself for Christmas, like, if I want something, I'm just gonna get it, like, for example, today, I just bought a pair of these Adidas tennis shoes, and I was like, "Well, I could give them, to myself for Christmas." And I was like, "No, I'm buying them now because I want them now. I'm not giving myself a gift. I don't care if I get any gifts, but I'm not doing that." So it's interesting, right? The impressions and that like are made on you as a young child and how you either conform to them or adopt them, I guess is a better word as you get older, or you reject them. So it's interesting, right? I also think it's normal. I mean, we often reject a lot of things that we had as a kid and we adopt, you know, new behaviors or traditions as an adult. And sometimes we don't, but yeah, I think as I got older, I would then start to get gifts for my parents, and I would always get a sweater for my mom. She was a terrible shopper for herself. She never liked to clothes shop. She didn't do it well. She was always very wish-washy. She couldn't make a decision, and so I remember one year I was working at Talbot's over the Christmas holiday, and I was like, "Oh, I'll get the sweater for my mom." I had a discount, and she loved it. So every year after that, I got her some type of sweater because she never could shop for herself very well. I mean, it kind of became stressful after a while, right? I was like, "Oh, I don't know what to buy her." Like, like I've got to get the perfect sweater and I don't know, things. I mean, over time, of course, we had kids and then everything switched to just giving our girls gifts, even the grandparents. What I really loved, a tradition that we had when A and I were first married is, and even a little bit before that, his parents would do like grab a neem out of a bucket or, a bowl. And then whoever you got, you would get them a gift. And it had to be like under like $100. So that was actually a lot of fun. I remember one year I got like a 12 pack of like different wine bottles from my sister-in-law. And that was kind of fun. And then another year, I think A gave one of his brothers like a whole pack of paper towels, like, or whatever you could spend for $100. But I kind of liked that idea because it made it fun, it made it interesting, and sometimes it was thoughtful, and sometimes it was just kind of a joke. But it was a nice way to kind of take off the pressure of feeling like, oh, I gotta get a certain kind of gift for this person or that person, or they're so difficult, or I always remember when we first moved back from the West Coast, we exchanged gifts with my brother and his wife, well, and my nieces. And they would always get my girls something. And then I'd be like, "Hey, C," which is my sister in law, what are your girls like? And she's like, "Oh, I don't know." And so I was always like, "That's great. So I don't know what to get them because you can't provide me with any suggestions. You don't know your own kids." I mean, that's the other, ugh. It's like if you have to get gifts for people and you're asking for ideas and they're just like, "I don't know." Like, okay, thanks. Thanks for being so very helpful. I mean, we quickly ended that. I think that only lasted a couple of years, but yeah, it's just painful when it's like something where you feel like you have to do it versus you want to do it. But I still remember early on when T was like maybe I don't know. She was young. She was like 4 or 5. And at that point, she was like, ooh, Christmas, it's all about gifts. I want this. I want that. I wanted to. And I think I was driving to pick up Jay from daycare or something. And T was in the car with me in the back seat. And I just got so like frustrated and upset. I was like, Christmas isn't just about gift giving, it's about like Jesus and like the birth of Jesus. And she's like, oh, really? And then I went into this like, because we don't go to church and we never really talked a lot about Jesus and, the Christian story of Christmas. And so I remember driving and telling T like this whole story about Jesus and how he was a baby and he was a miracle. And people brought lots of, like, I don't remember exactly. I just remember at the end going, oh my God, I just murdered that story. Like, I wish I had recorded myself because I think it was hilarious. I don't know that she took any of it in or what she thought of it, but I just remember after somebody who went to like church every Sunday, I was like, that is not a good rendition of the Christmas story. Let's just let's just leave it there.
Oh, how could I forget my Mr. R, our dog, and what he thinks of gifts? Just had to say, when you're talking about P and the Amazon boxes, Mr. R is exactly the same way. If an Amazon box comes in, it's like, hey, what's in there for me? Because more than likely there is treats, food, a puppet, a toy, a bowl, and he knows it. Comes over and he starts like salivating to see what's in the Amazon box. So he absolutely loves gifts. And I mean, when we had like back in our Seattle days when we had a Christmas tree and we did all the presents under the tree, oh my God, he had so much fun opening gifts. I'll just say that much. He loves the traditional opening the gifts business. So it reminded me, like, oh yes, the other most important member of my family, Mr. R, and the gifts. Of course, we lost our cat M this year, but she also loved gifts, as I remember her. And at some point, I just made a big box and put tissue and ribbon and little bauble things for her, yarn and strings falling out of this box. And oh, that was her like delight. That was her favorite thing in the world. Eventually, after Christmas, I'd be like, okay, this has got to go because it would bug me. You know how I am. Oh, but she would hate to see it go. She loved her Christmas box of tissue and strings and yarn and ribbon. And oh, I just remember her so well in that way. So yes, my pets have loved Christmas gifts. I'll say that much. It was interesting your recollection of did you give gifts to your parents? And I did once I started earning money, right? Which was pretty early because I had to work. I mean, pretty much to have things for myself. I think on another episode, I recalled to you like, oh, earning my babysitting money and then driving or riding my bike to the Woolworths in the little town and like doing my own shopping for myself and eating my piece of pie at the counter at the Woolworths. So I was not nearly as creative as your Jay, which is too bad for me. But I would definitely like get my list, my grandparents, my parents, and my brothers, and maybe a friend or two. And I would go to the Woolworths and shop. And I was so proud because I like had my money. And I mean, I think, they always start this love language business. What's your love language? What's your love language? Everyone's like, oh, acts of service and this and that. And there's one that's like gifts, gift giving. I think that's my love language is gifts. It's probably like, wow, she's really commercial. And you never hear people saying that their love language is gifts, but I think mine is. I would have so much fun picking out baubles and trinkets at the Woolworths, and I'll never forget. I think these were the Friends gifts. I don't know if you remember Habs, those, you remember Lifesavers? And at Christmas, they'd have like a Lifesaver pack, and there'd be 5 packs on one side of this little box and 5 packs on the other. And then it was like a little book, you'd shut it up. And outside was this like funny little Santa. I was like, this is the best gift to get my friends. And I remember like bringing it home and showing my mother, and she's like, that's not that exciting. I'm like, what? I don't know why. I thought the Lifesaver book was so cool. And then I was just so devastated. But I always did give gifts as soon as I was earning money. I mean, granted, they were drugstore gifts, but I did give gifts. I thought, I also agree with you about I don't give myself gifts at Christmas. I just basically buy myself stuff as I need it and want it throughout the year. So if I buy something, I'm not holding it to Christmas and then putting on the little tag to Muffy from Muffy. I don't do that. I know people do, but I don't. Like, I just recently bought a new tea kettle. We had a bit of a kerfuffle with our coffee maker. I think you've been tracking my saga, but I thought we ended up getting another coffee maker, and I was like, you know what? My tea, I'm not a coffee drinker, but I'm like, I want a new tea kettle. This tea kettle I've had for 5 years, and it just doesn't really do it for me. It's not keeping the water hot. It doesn't even heat it up to the heat I want it. So I was like, I'm done. So I bought myself a really cool, well-designed and hopefully well-working tea kettle. And I'm like, okay, is this a Christmas gift for myself? But I'm like, no, I want this hot water now. So I get you. I also don't give myself gifts. I think that's very interesting. I thought it was interesting about how your mother would give out gifts, and you're sort of like, it was kind of crass. Um, how she would just keep throwing them at you. I mean, I don't know how it really worked when we were very little. All I know is we would get up really early for these gifts, and my parents just let us get up early and go down there to the tree or whatever, and we would just open them. And we just all grabbed our names and just opened them. I mean, there were gifts for my parents and my grandparents. We were always together, and they got gifts too. And a lot of them, because my grandparents, my mother's parents, that was their daughter and son-in-law, so they bought them bunches of gifts too. And my mother and father gave them, or at least my mother, she did all of it too, gave her parents gifts, and then the kids. And we had like gifts from Santa, gifts from grandparents. And my mother was also the one who did kind of most of the wrapping. My father would get maybe a gift or two the day before. He'd go out and have this like Christmas Eve shop. He'd buy some really weird things. So luckily, the gift giving really wasn't on him, because we would have gotten some really interesting, odd things. I'll say that much. Like one year, he went out the day before Christmas, and he got this amazing gift from my mother, and she opens it up, and it's like this pink hippie candle. I still remember it. Like, it's this like a hippie guy. It was pink. And the candle. It's like, Merry Christmas to my mother. And she's like, yeah, thanks so much. So anyway, I'm really glad that he was not the Santa in the household. But my grandmother's gifts, she's just perfection. I mean, she's a Virgo. So that just tells you like a little bit about her perfectionism. But her gifts were so beautifully wrapped. I mean, and the bows and the names, and you just loved a gift from her. But I think they were the ones who brought more really little Santa's gifts, and then like my parents, I don't know, but it was like we had Santa's gifts and then people's gifts, it was sort of something like that. But as we all got older, I became the person who handed out gifts, and we actually did take our time and watch people open gifts. And as we got older and had more, just wasn't like rip into them and like, what did you get? It was more like, oh, what did people get? What did people think? And I bought something really special for somebody. I wanted to see them open it and see their look on their face. So, and you're absolutely right. Gift giving can be fraught. I mean, there were a lot of years in my family where, as we got older in the teen years and college years, like I remember one year my younger brother being really, really unhappy with what my parents got him. They knew it, and he was just so upset. And, gifts are objects, but they represent, I think, something like, do you know me? Do you know enough about me to buy something for me? And I think when we have those misses at Christmas or other gift giving occasions, and it doesn't it doesn't suit. I think it's like, yeah, the gift is bad, but underneath the gift is bad is you don't know me, you don't get me, you didn't hear me, you didn't listen to me. And that's, I think, the really painful part that makes gift giving fraught. And we certainly had those moments around the tree over the years. Yeah, I mean, oh, I just have to say, I love Talbots. I had no idea you worked at Talbots. Back in the day, I loved Talbots because a lot of times they did Scottish Terrier stuff on their shoes or their purses or their clothes. And you know me and the Scottish Terrier. So I love Talbots. So good thought to get your mom a sweater from Talbots and help her with her wardrobes. And I just have to say, I kind of hope, I'm going to beg actually, Habs, for you to recount the original Christmas story to me that you recounted to T way back when. I think that must have been absolutely hilarious. And I'm sure our listeners, along with me, would love to hear the Christmas story told by Habs. I'm just saying, I'm just asking. Maybe the perfect gift for Muffy.
Muffy, I love that you used to get your cat just a box filled with yarn and ribbon and whatever. I bet that was just like the highlight of her life, was just playing in that box. What a very ingenious idea. I know she will be missed this holiday season, but I have a feeling she'll be right there with you. I mean, her spirit will be right there with you, carrying you through the holiday. But at least you have all those fond memories of giving gifts to her. And I think that's a lot of what it's about. It's the memories, it's the pleasure in giving a gift. I think you're right. When a gift just really misses the mark, it just like makes somebody wonder, like, why did you choose this for me? Like, what were you thinking? Do you know me? I have a good acquaintance, M, and she happens to be our, famed international spy. And every holiday season, she either gives me a candle or a little plate or a mug or a little flower. I mean, it's super nice, but honestly, I never know what to do with this stuff. And I call it stuff because it just is stuff. I mean, one little plate I actually now use as a soap dish in my shower, so that got put to good use. She knows me. She doesn't know me, but like, I just rather, just, if you want to write a card, write a card. But if you don't have to do anything. I mean, especially like, I have to say in like the mom world, and I'm sorry to exclude you here from that, although you are a part of that world as well. The mom world is so fraught with so many obligations and things to be doing that when another mom gives a mom some gifts and stuff, then that mom feels obligated. And it's kind of like, I think the best gift during the holidays for a mom is just not to give anything, because that means that the mom doesn't have to give back. And I mean, I think with really good friends, it's very different. But I mean, I think for good acquaintances, people in your community that do that, it's just like, just don't. Let's go out and meet for a drink. Let's have a cup of coffee together. Let's go on a walk together. Let me vent about all stuffed moms and complaining about our families because we do a lot of that. And it's like, that is the greatest gift. Um, I don't remember the lifesaver thing, to be honest. I mean, I do know lifesavers, and I will tell you this. I think probably I don't remember is because I have never eaten a lifesaver since probably 6th grade. And the reason is that I was eating a lifesaver in the car with some friends. My mom was driving us home and it got really thin. You know how it gets to the point where it's really thin. And then I crunched it up, but there were still some sharp pieces, which I swallowed. And I thought I was choking, but I wasn't choking because I could still breathe. And I felt like I was choking for like 4 hours. So obviously I wasn't choking, right? But it felt like something was in my throat and it couldn't come out. Again, it probably had like not melted, but like it wasn't existing any longer. But I ever since that time, I couldn't swallow anything anymore. Like I couldn't swallow pills. I mean, I could swallow food and stuff, but like big pills or other things, I just couldn't swallow. And I now know it's because, like many other of my body parts, my esophagus doesn't go straight down. It kind of goes in a squiggly way, like over to the right side of my chest and down. So it probably either scraped or did something along the way. Anyways, I now can swallow pills. Every once in a while, I have a little problem with it, but I don't mean to go off on a tangent, but the lifesaver was like a mega taboo in my life for a very, very long time. From 6th grade until maybe I don't know, my around 40. So that's why I don't really remember that. But I'm sure at the time, for you, it was just the most amazing thing. I mean, I think that's also one of the joys of the Christmas holiday is, it is in many respects about the children, but it's like the purity and the naivety of children and how things are just so amazing. And it could be like a wrapper on a piece of candy. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it could be, right? And that's the wonder of Christmas, and the wonder of gift giving is just the most simplest things. Now, I don't know. My in-laws have never been very good at gift giving, and and I don't know why. And so, I mean, I think that's another reason A is not really into gifts because they never really did it. But every once in a while, they decide they need to get us a gift. And I'm not knocking them for whatever reason. They thought it was a great gift. But one year, not too long ago, they bought a badminton kit from LLP and gave it to us. And I think they thought it was the most wonderful thing. And I was like, how odd. We play tennis, but we've never talked about badminton or said it was just completely out of the blue. I mean, we have used it sometimes when we have outdoor parties in the summer and birthday parties, we'll put it out and for the kids to play. I don't know that people play it or use it really, or maybe it lasts a few minutes and that's about it. But it's just so random. And so it's just I don't know. I think if I'm going to give a gift, it's got to be really meaningful. I mean, for my girls, I mean, I'm getting them a number of gifts. So every one of them isn't uber meaningful, but I don't just give a gift for the fun of it. There is meaning in it. There's, more and more as they've gotten older, there's usage and meaning are they going to use this or is it just another tchotchke? Because I don't want to give them tchotchkes anymore. I mean, when they're little, they love the tchotchkes. So it's takes on a totally different meaning. Yes, I did work at Talbot's when I was in DC. Perfect place because DC at the time was very, everybody was wearing suits and kind of like a lot of conservative clothing and politics, sorry. And so, like, it was good because I made a little extra money and I got to buy some clothes. Okay, the Christmas story in the car to T, I don't know if I can replicate it. So you just have to, I have to set the stage, especially because I only have a minute and a half, but I'll do my best. But setting the stage, when T was younger, we didn't go to church. We really didn't talk about God and Jesus very much. And I remember she had this friend who was Catholic, and she was always talking about, well, Jesus, my brother, my family. And I just remember T, like, one time, like, looking at her, like, and I could just see what she was saying inside was, who the F is this Jesus person? So let's just start with that. So, like, how do you explain to a little kid about Jesus who knows nothing about the Bible, nothing about Jesus, and that Christmas is not just all about presents? So I had to be like, there was this boy, he was special, and he was born on a special night, and, he represented, like, maybe I said something like his parents, like, they it was like a miracle that he was born, and so he kind of became this symbol for people about life, and like, and so people celebrated him, and there were these three.
Stay in the left 3 lane.
The accurate part of this story that I'm telling is that I'm actually in the car again, driving to your house. And so I'm in the car at night trying to tell the story. But it was something along the line. So that part is like, I am duplicating. But it was something like, oh, this little boy, there were these animals, and everybody was really happy that he had been born, and these, like, 3 men came and brought him gifts of, like, I don't even know what I said, but like, like one gift that said, welcome to this world. And, and there was this God, and that was like, kind of a father figure, kind of like Santa Claus. I mean, so God is Santa Claus. And like, so it's more about, but then it's more about that it's Christmas is about, representing life, and, anyway, so like you can see, I don't know, again, like I can't really replicate this story, because how do you tell somebody about Jesus when, like, you've never even, like, talked about religion? So
In half a mile, take a slight right turn to merge onto I-95.
on that note, I'm gonna stop, Muffy, but yeah, it was crazy. I wish, like I always say, I wish I had recorded it, or somebody else had been in the car with me to record it, but it definitely was a special moment, because at the end I was like, what the hell did I just say? And I remember her just being like, oh, okay. And like, I think she was like completely confused. Like, what the hell did my mom just talk about? So yeah. Gift giving, it's sometimes complex. In this episode, we talked about the difference between loving Christmas as a kid and loving it as an adult. When you're little, Christmas is pure magic. The lights, the cookies, the countdown, and of course, the mountain of presents waiting under the tree. You wake up buzzing and eager to tear through wrapping paper like a raccoon in a garbage can, and that's the whole day. But as an adult, it hits totally differently. It's getting or giving a gift that says, you know me, you really know me. It's the traditions you keep, the ones you ditch, and the new ones you make. Kid Christmas is excitement, adult Christmas is meaning, and honestly, Habs and Muffy think both kinds are pretty magical, just in completely different ways. In the next episode, we're talking about Christmas food, Christmas dinner, Christmas cookies, traditions, and more. You can follow Girls Who Gab with Habs and Muffy on Instagram, Spotify, TikTok, or anywhere you get your social media.